Well, it's been a long time. Almost 2 years, in fact. Yeah, almost 2 years since I promised my second video in my Fly retrospective. Yeah. You know, if I had more than a few hundred subscribers who I really value and adore very much, I'm sure they'd be really disappointed. Guess I better get to work then, huh? God, but it's so much effort, so much work, so much time. Well, I can put it off for a little bit, I guess. You know, after all, it's been a couple of years, right? So I've got a lot of things I need to catch up on, a lot of popular trends and happenings. So might as well turn to the internet. Guess I'll get caught up. So if you'll excuse me, it shouldn't take long. I'll just hit the highlights and then we'll get started.
Oh, you gotta give him that hawk too and spit on that thing. You get me?
I didn't want to have children with this person after the first 2 months of being with her. But that wasn't God's plan.
Drip versus stick. I like my cheese drippy, bruh.
We're also 30 less.
Here come the bounce back. Keep your eyes on him.
Have a biochem midterm today, but Taylor and Travis just got engaged. Due to this information, I can't focus, you all can't focus, class is canceled, get out of here. We gotta go. We need time to process this information.
Everyone give a round of applause for Stunt Greg. You're going to be seeing him a lot throughout this video doing similar stunts. Welcome to part 2 of my retrospective on The Fly. Yeah, I know it's been a while. Last video, which if you haven't watched it yet is linked down below, we focused on the 1958 original, but this time we're going to get nasty. As if my intro with Stunt Me and my horrible countenance isn't any indication.
Oh my God!
By looking at the gross, devastating, and powerful remake also titled The Fly, released in 1986 and directed by genre director and resident Canadian oddity David Cronenberg. So let's not waste any time here. Follow me on my social media platforms and consider subscribing to me if you haven't already, and if you have, thank you for the support. Also, since everyone in the world is now something of a supreme weenie, allow me to give you a trigger warning. This movie, in both visuals and subject matter, is pretty dark and grotesque, so I can't show everything. Well, I mean, I could. But I not only want to avoid copyright strikes, but I want to avoid having holy water thrown on me by the YouTube clergy. But I will give glimpses and discuss some parts. You've been warned on that one. And if you want to see everything uncensored, unfiltered, and all of its disgusting glory, then look elsewhere on the internet. Duh. Now, back to the memory vault. After watching the original version when I was very young, some years later I was rummaging through a movie collection of VHS tapes my mom had accrued. Yes, back in the dark ages, we could use VHS to record from television. We were free back then.
Freedom! Freedom!
Freedom! Now, most of these tapes were with multiple movies on them, and some maybe were not exactly appropriate in this soft world in which we now reside, but apparently I was mature for a child and didn't get easily disturbed.
Oh no! What happened?
As I was looking, lo and behold, I found a tape with The Fly written on it, but the year said 1986. Yeah, apparently I knew the original was made in the 50s. I asked my mom if it was a different movie, to which she said yes, but said she didn't want me watching it. Well, that enticed me more because, I mean, what else was it going to do, right? In time, it may have been a couple of years later. This was before the internet where you can look up anything if you're curious enough. I ventured back and found the same tape again, and my mom finally agreed to let me watch it. It was taped off of Fox back in the late 80s, early 90s, back when they showed movies unfiltered. God, it was a great time, and it had all the commercial breaks too, complete with bumper ads for the movie as you were about to resume them.
Help me, please help me.
The Fly, a broadcast premiere May 15th on Fox.
Now, I don't want to get too far ahead, but I'll start by saying that I was, well, kind of disappointed. Wait! I was disappointed, at least until the end. This movie was nothing like the original except for the basic concept of teleportation. I was expecting something more like Andre's Fate, with a man trading body parts and those parts looking more authentically, well, fly-like. No, don't get me wrong, it is indeed a monster movie of sorts, but it definitely falls into the transformation and body horror categories. You may remember my feelings on body horror if you checked out my very first video on this channel on John Carpenter's The Thing. I love it even though it's something of a weirdly deep-rooted fear, the fear of disease and malformation of the body, but in a convenient trapping of monstrous, almost surreal transformation. Now, if you're a fan of Cronenberg like I am, a huge fan.
Okay.
Then you know, at least with his earlier works, and especially those related to horror, that horrific transformations and destruction of the body is kind of a prerequisite for his work. A given. It was his MO up until about the mid-2000s, and then not again until Crimes of the Future. No, haven't seen it, so don't ask my opinion on it. I've been too busy over the last few years catching up on other things. And plus, in all honesty, I haven't been a lover of many horror and sci-fi movies of most recent years, so yeah. Alright, that should be sufficient, so let's get down to business. Oh! 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 Wow, that opening. Okay, I have to tackle the musical score first here. This, to me, is Howard Shore's best film score. I know Lord of the Rings fans would probably be tempted to argue with me here, and that one's great too, but this one is just very powerful emotionally and the like. It feels grandiose and operatic, especially with this opening that's reminiscent of Madame Butterfly and is bookended at the end of the film. And it does a great job of conveying romance, horror, tragedy, all of that. Kind of makes sense how this film was apparently adapted into an opera a few years back. Yeah. I don't know too much about it, but it did exist sometime back in 2008. I saw images of it online, and Cronenberg was involved and Howard Shore composed. It seemed cool, but we're here for the movie, so let's move on, shall we? Wait a second. Brooks Films? Huh. Garth Brooks is a producer?
When I think about things I want to post cool stuff, slick stuff, neat stuff. But most of the stuff I'm going to post is going to be raw stuff like this. Raw.
No, thank God, but even stranger is that this film was produced by Mel Brooks. Yes, History of the World, the producers, Young Frankenstein, Spaceballs, that Mel Brooks.
Interlocking system.
See, the producer of the film, Stuart Cornfeld, needed financing and had worked with Brooks on David Lynch's The Elephant Man before. Yep, that was the funniest movie I ever saw.
I am not an animal. I am a human being.
Why are you the way that you are?
Anyway, Cornfeld approached Brooks for this, and long story short, it worked. Now, the background here. This, contrary to how it was depicted in the original, is closer to how a fly sees. Remember, predator vision? We don't waste any time. Here we meet our two primary characters, Seth Brundle, played by the excellent and incomparable Jeff Goldblum, and Veronica Quaife, or Ronnie, played by another great Hollywood star that I miss seeing in film, Geena Davis. Apparently they were dating at the time, and while this usually deters from performances in movies and television, which is something that Cronenberg was obviously wary about, here it lends the two characters a genuine quality, only making what's to come that much worse. Ronnie is a reporter looking for a new story for Particle Magazine, a publication for NERD! At a convention of NERD! And, well, Brundle is definitely adamant. He's charming despite being very awkward and kind of determined, but hey, it's Goldblum.
Oh, there it is.
It seems that Seth is a scientist who's created something that will change the world as we know it, and he really wants Ronnie to see it. Not a red flag or anything. Seth does convince Ronnie to accompany him back to his lab. Okay, most true crime stories start out this way. And on the ride over, he talks about his motion sickness.
No, I'm always like this. It's motion sickness. When I was a kid, I puked on my tricycle.
Could this be the reason for working in teleportation? Sorry, getting ahead of myself. I sympathize, though. I throw up at inconvenient times, too. Okay, so this place is a lab, and it's apparently a huge level of a warehouse or something. Dingy and dirty, too. Oh, look, it has a sliding door like Andre's in the original.
Nice.
Also, like the original film, this is set in Canada, too, though no one has French names. Cronenberg is Canadian, so there you go. There's no joke here. Stop expecting things from me! Brundle is an accomplished pianist, apparently. As is Goldblum in reality. Now, let's see what he's been working on.
Those.
Seth has made himself some disintegrator reintegrators. Teleporters.
Telepods.
Yeah, telepods. He has 3. 2 with windows and the windowless prototype. These, to me, always looked really unique and cool compared to the original film. Ronnie keeps calling these phone booths, despite the original teleporters looking more like something Clark Kent would have gotten naked in. These do have a grungy motorcycle hybrid look to them, and were based on the looks of motorcycles, specifically Cronenberg's own Ducati Desmo. Skeptical, Ronnie needs evidence of how these things work, so Seth takes one of her silk stockings and, after quietly giving a verbal command to the teleporters...
Telepods.
Okay, telepods, Jesus. Anyway, the telepods... teleport the stocking. Hey, at least these are quieter than Andre's and not complete eardrum destroyers. Ronnie doesn't buy it at first, but it doesn't take much convincing for her to see he's the real deal.
I don't think I get it. What happened?
Your stocking has just been teleported. There's a lot of stuff in there I don't even understand. I'm really a systems management man. They built me a laser this, designed me a molecular analyzer that, and they do, and I just stick them together.
This is something akin to Andre's speech about how he doesn't fully understand the workings of his machine, so he gets the company he works for to build each component, and he puts them together to, do what they need to do. Yeah, that's not foreboding in the least. Huh. So he gets parts and puts them together without knowing how any of it works. Just like my PC.
What's that? What is it?
Well, you want me to get the quotes right, don't you?
Okay, hold on, Ronnie. Just because he invites you into his home, shows you his weird experiment, and gets you coffee, that doesn't mean you can share this as a story. Ew. She left. Well, what will Seth do?
Wow, no.
Ronnie returns to her workplace and meets with her boss, who just so happens to be her ex-boyfriend.
Oh, good.
He also has one of the ugliest names I've ever heard. Stathis Borans. I mean, at least it's memorable, but so is plantar fasciitis. Look it up. Go on. I'll wait.
Oh God, oh man, oh God.
I mean, well, at least you can't forget it, right? He's played with perfect smarm and narcissism by John Getz, and does he believe this story of teleportation?
It's a joke.
What?
He's conning you.
That's the reaction I expected. Seth shows up just so Stathis can show how sarcastically egotistical he is.
If you plan to make anything disappear, please let me know. I've got an assistant editor who's outlived his usefulness.
What a dick.
You know, it's funny how I really love his character in this movie, but if I knew this guy in real life, well... Anyway, Seth practices his nightclub magician routine with a magic word.
I've come here to say one magic word to you.
Yeah?
Cheeseburger.
The scientist cuts a deal with the reporter. He doesn't want news of his experimental telepods to get out before he can work out all the kinks, namely with live subjects.
Well, what happens when you try to teleport living things?
Not what we're eating.
Can't be worse than this.
And he proposes that instead of an article, she follows and documents his experiments to write a book that ends with his successful teleportation. Does this book have a happy end? No, it does not. Back at Ronnie's apartment, she finds Stathis, who wouldn't at all, by no stretch of the imagination, ever be canceled on social media in the present world or anything, in her shower because he still has a key to her apartment. Apartments.com. Whoa, doing some Goldblum here. Apartments.com, dinosaurs. Anyway. He at least shares that Brundle was a potential candidate for the Nobel Prize in Physics, but Ronnie lies to Stathis about being finished with Brundle.
Absolutely not.
Now, here we go with one of the first major gruesome scenes of the movie, and this is basically what Seth alluded to about teleporting living things. So, yeah, Seth has baboons. How do you get baboons? Seriously! I want to know, for reasons, and teleports one to hideous results. I won't show all of it here. If you want to see it uncensored, remember what I said before about all the gross parts. Either way, the baboon reintegrates inside out. Seth is obviously depressed because, you know, he just killed Simba's shaman. Yes, I know Rafiki is a mandrill, but I don't care. Monkeys is monkeys.
Stop it. Get some help.
So yeah, depressed, and he explains why he believes it failed.
Can't deal with flesh. It only seems to work with inanimate objects, nothing that's living. Computers are dumb. They only know what you tell them. I must not know enough about the flesh myself. I'm going to have to learn.
Okay, so if you're like me, the word flesh has something of a cringeworthy effect to it. I don't get, like, sick or grossed out or anything, but when I do hear it, I think horror. I can't help but do so. It's like the creepier version of the word moist. Now, for the Cronenberg elite, the word flesh is something you really have to get used to. He really digs the word.
Long live the new flesh.
Can't deal with flesh. I must not know enough about the flesh myself.
Next, Seth shows off his wardrobe, which is weirdly less eclectic than mine. Apparently, nothing gets Ronnie hotter than brown pants and greasy, squealing baboon guts. Because they do the horizontal mambo afterward. You know. Afterward, Seth rolls over on a rogue microchip and cuts his back. I know the feeling, Seth. My bed is like a minefield of chips, crumbs, and other bits of evidence that I eat in bed because of my oinker slop status. My wife hates me! But remember this wound. It will come back into play later. For now, it provokes Ronnie to say this.
You know, that's why old ladies pinch babies' cheeks. It's the flesh. It just makes you crazy.
What an odd thing to say.
It all has to do with the flesh. Cronenberg's favorite motif in horror, remember?
Flesh.
So it's experiment time again, and I really hope they remembered to clean up all the excess monkey bits before this. He cuts a steak into 2 parts and teleports one, then cooks both for Ronnie to try.
Now try this teleported half.
Oh, are you serious? A monkey just came apart in there.
Baboon. Eat.
Apparently, the teleported steak tastes off.
It tastes synthetic.
I wonder if the garnish of monkey intestine did not throw off the flavor of the steak.
The computer is giving us its interpretation of a steak, the flesh. It should make the computer crazy, but it doesn't, not yet. I haven't taught the computer to be made crazy by the flesh. The poetry of the steak.
Weird way of putting it, but what kind of dialogue do you expect from the guy that gave us the unfilmable naked lunch?
I can think of at least 2 things wrong with that title.
Still, it makes sense in an abstract sort of way. So after this brilliant post-coital epiphany, Ronnie leaves. But she's being watched. She goes to buy Seth some new clothes because apparently his Einstein look isn't really doing it for her anymore. Come on, fellas, we know that ladies like to dress us up because we look like slobs on our own, right? And when she's confronted by Stathis, it leads to this great argument.
Don't you get it? I am finally onto something that's big. Huge.
Yeah? What?
Whoa, 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 whoa! We don't use language like that here, sir. How dare you! Apparently, the Telepods pass Poetry 101 as taught by Dr. Seth Brundle when he successfully teleports the other baboon he has in captivity and it doesn't, become the refuse from a slaughterhouse. The baboon's ecstatic. I mean, who wouldn't be after seeing their brother mutilated in an experiment?
Oh my god, I almost died! No! I almost died! That was so scary, thank you!
Interesting side note, but the baboons were, as can already be ascertained, potential problems on set. I mean, they're freaking baboons. But apparently the old Goldblum charm worked on them. That and he's a big guy, and at the time especially, a somewhat imposing man despite his offbeat charm.
Hey, baby. I'm like pretty tall.
The couple celebrates the success of the non-exploded baboon, but Ronnie discovers a package from Particle Magazine with a potential cover exposing Brundle's invention, a not-so-subtle threat from Stathis Borans. Of course, my question is, how did they commission an artist that quickly to produce a picture of this quality? Where did they get such a dynamic Brundle pic in 1986? Needless to say, Ronnie gets upset, and instead of telling Seth about what is going on, she cryptically says,
I still have the residue of another life, you know. I have to scrape it off my shoe and get rid of it once and for all.
And leaves to confront her ex/boss. Okay, now, see, everything from this moment forward could have been avoided if she had been truthful. Remember, kids, everything that goes wrong in this world is because of women.
Is that like a personal attack or something? Or...
If you're not honest with your mate, they'll turn into some grotesque abomination of God and science, I guess. Wait. If you lie, they become fly?
Acceptable.
Sorry, I know I'm getting ahead of myself. Yeah, so you may be watching this and thinking the same thing I thought when I was a kid. Where's all the fly stuff? Why does this seem like a romantic drama? Well, don't worry, the super gross stuff is coming. Aside from the baboon. But the realistically romantic portion makes this much different from the original in its own visceral way, and it hits on a different level. I'll get to that a bit later. So it turns out that Stathis' threat, which technically makes him sort of as complicit in Brundle's upcoming fate as Ronnie for not being honest, was kind of hollow. He relents and asks that Ronnie keep him in the loop with his experiments. Oh, don't worry, Stathis, you'll be kept in the loop all right. A big old flesh loop. Flesh loops. Sounds like a horrible new cereal, doesn't it? Back at Seth's place, he's taken a hint from Philippe Delam.
This is good.
It seems he's slowly fostering a jealous anger as he pieces together why Ronnie left.
From the desk of Stathis Borans. How about under the desk of Stathis Borans? What is this, the Ronnie game? I'm catching on.
Oh, look at that. The baboon swatting at a fly. Wait.
Oh,
Seth sets up a camera and, out of brash jealousy, strips down. Yeah, remember what I said in the original video about multiple objects? Okay, so I know that this is getting a little bit ahead, but most people know this movie, or at least its remake. And the whole horrific incident that's central to the plot is due to multiple objects being in the teleporter. Yeah. So, you know what? Just forget it. At least we get in the nude to teleport here, so it mostly works. Anyway, Seth climbs in and teleports himself along with the housefly. Man, Seth, your baboon sucks. Can't even warn you of the Kafka-esque body horror awaiting you. No wonder he could never defeat Weasel.
You don't need pants for the victory dance, 'cause Baboon's better than Weasel. IR Baboon, big star cartoon.
I am Weasel.
But he's probably getting revenge for his brother that you killed. Oh god, what horror awaits us, but oh, he's fine. Stepping out from the fog of the machine like an 80's wrestler, member of a hair metal band. Is a key component to teleportation dry ice or something? Yeah, Seth is fine. He caught that baboon with no trouble, though. And the housefly is gone. Yeah, no red flags or anything. Let's start a red flag count. Later that night, Ronnie returns to find Seth asleep and apologizes for leaving him to celebrate alone. And she's upset to learn that he teleported himself without testing the baboon first and, worst of all, without waiting on her to record it. But he explains that he was drunk and upset and asks about her relationship with Stathis.
Oh, God. Seth, you don't have to be jealous. He's an old boyfriend.
He also tells her not to worry, that he made sure to record the teleportation and they both make up. He was drunk and jealous and still found a way to make sure that he recorded the footage. He really did think of everything. Except... oh. So yes, here we, the audience, witness our first true hint that something is off with the small hairs growing from the microchip wound.
It's okay though, that means he reached
Puberty.
Not only does he have weird hairs and he's more, amorous with the opposite sex, but he's also a freaking superhero! No, really, this next part of the movie always gave me weird Spider-Man vibes. Not only does he do the cliched kung fu snatch a fly from my hand crap, but he does it with his eyes closed and in midair. Oh yeah, and then there's the weird gymnastic routine. Because I know that when I wake up in the middle of the night at 3 a.m., the first thing I want to do is lift and flip and do gymnastics. Must do gymnastics.
Jesus Christ. That's Jason Bourne.
It's impressive and all. Definitely not a red flag or anything. But what's weirder is when Ronnie watches him and she does so for a bit, she says nothing. Look, I know I'm an out-of-shape chungus, but if my wife woke up randomly to me doing the Brundle routine in the middle of the night, even if I were in shape, she'd go, "What the f-?" Later on, we have a sweet little interlude where the two go out on a date with Seth now wearing the clothes that Ronnie's bought him, and he buys her a new necklace. Aww! But that's ruined somewhat at the coffee shop where Cronenberg apparently instructed Goldblum to be as intense and cocaine-addled in his performance as possible because Brundle definitely displays an over-energetic mania.
Human teleportation, molecular decimation, breakdown, and reformation is inherently purging. It makes a man a king. Let's go! Move! Catch me if you can. Waiter! Jesus Christ!
Cocainum.
And I know I joke, but Goldblum's performance here is superb. Maybe it's the sugar. Again, not a fully accurate fly trait, but I'll allow it. After all, we know what flies really go for.
That is one big pile of
This is
See, Seth, after going through the teleporter, believes that his genes have been purified by being taken apart and put back together, exemplified by his enhanced strength and stamina. With his aggression, though, he's a few shrunken testicles short of a steroid overdose as the excuse for what's happened. Speaking of stamina, Seth is more energetic in his bedroom proclivities. Yeah, I'm not showing this, and aside from YouTube regulations, there's a reason for that. Bet you thought I forgot the fly fact portions of this video. Nope, sucker. It just took a while to get to the new one, so here goes!
Fly fact number 1. Or 4, if you count the previous video. Yeah, 4.
Flies, namely males, have a heightened mating stamina, so much so that they'll attempt to mate with a dead female. Yeah, you can figure out the implications of that. Yeah. Back to the movie! Yeah, the steroid comment earlier makes sense from those blemishes on Seth's face.
What's that? Brother,
And Ronnie decides to trim some of those weird hairs from Seth's back and is rightfully concerned about it. She can barely cut them with scissors. But this causes an unexpected reaction from her boyfriend.
I want you to go through. I want to teleport you as soon as possible, right now. I feel incredible. Ronnie, I hardly need to sleep anymore, and I feel wonderful. It's like a drug, but a perfectly pure and benign drug. The power I feel surging inside me. And I want to be able to wear you out. We'll be the perfect couple, the dynamic duo.
Now, this scene and one much later for me, the whole movie in general, but this scene and the later one, show how gifted of an actor Goldblum really is. Here, he's equally threatening, frightening, and pitiable, and Gina Davis is on par as well and does a great job. Ronnie realizes something went wrong during the teleportation, causing Seth to deliver a powerful speech.
Seth, you have to listen to me.
You're afraid to dive into the plasma pool, aren't you? I bet you think that you woke me up about the flesh, don't you? But you only know society's straight line about the flesh. Drink deep or taste not the plasma spring. See what I'm saying? A deep, penetrating dive into the plasma pool.
For a moment here, I want to talk about the musical score. Now, sure, it uses different motifs like any skilled composer does for the characters in this film, but the one I want to talk about most is the music surrounding Seth himself. I can't really share a whole lot due to copyright, but I'll do what I can. See, Seth has a motif in the beginning like this. Boom, 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 boom. Then, after his teleportation, there's the presence of a kind of inversion to his theme, if you will, that is directly connected to it before the inversion takes the place of it near the end of the film. Dom, 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 dom. Now, again, this is me guessing here and being an over-analytical nerd. But I'm of the persuasion that the inversion of Seth's theme is the fly gene gradually taking over and asserting control on his body. Not sure if that's the implication, but hey, musical symbolism is a cool idea, right? Taking a candy bar, Seth goes out on the prowl after basically breaking up with Ronnie, landing at a totally different type of bar. If you watch and listen, you can hear the song written for the movie, Help Me by Brian Ferry, playing in the background. Definitely a decent 80s song, go give it a listen, but its romantic feel doesn't fit in a movie like this. Yeah, I know, so far it's been kind of romantic, but it's about to get really freaky, but not in that way. Seth meets a lady of the night named Tawny and decides to take part in an arm wrestling match with a beefy dude named Marky, who I guess has paid for Tawny, hence why I call her a lady of the night. Anyway, and the prize is $100 and Tawny herself. Anyway, this screams high school male ego, but in the old way. Not the wimpy posturing, shoving, and slap fights that we see students do today. Pfft, weenies.
He's such a weenie.
I am not a weenie! You are the weenie!
Man, Seth can hold his own, and he's so sweaty. Ugh. And the music here is... uh-oh. Oh no, something's gonna happen. Marky, my man, Seth's been doing ridiculous gymnastics and catching flies in midair and the like, so you might just want to... Oh God! Yeah, I have to censor this for the YouTube nuns here, but trust me, Marky's going to need to go to the ER.
Fubar, big time.
Seth and Tawny have a fun night after Seth has her bear witness to the teleporter.
Telepods.
And now, as with Ronnie, he wants her to go through. When she declines, he tries to force her.
I don't want to. I'm afraid.
Don't be afraid.
No. Be afraid. Be very afraid.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have a tagline. After Tawny's exit, Ronnie tells Seth the same things I used to hear all the time during puberty.
You look bad. You smell bad.
I've never been much of a bather.
What's more, she's had the hairs analyzed.
He finally came to the conclusion that they were definitely not human. Very likely insect hairs.
Uh-oh. While she thinks he's sick, he tells her she's jealous and he goes full Kyle after finishing his third monster to show he's not sick before forcing her to leave. So now the whole romantic aspect of the movie is pretty much done overall. Sure, we've had some gross parts here and there, but this is the transition to
full-on nasty.
So yeah, here we go! Now alone, Seth goes to the bathroom and examines himself, seeing the pimples, hairs, and other growths appearing on his face. So, like me on the daily.
Disgusting!
And trying to shave feels pain, something alluded to earlier when Tawny tried to rub alcohol on him. Nervous, he bites down on a fingernail and it comes off. Yeah.
No. Wait. Wait.
This is probably the one scene in this movie that makes me cringe somewhat compared to the plethora of other nasty scenes, simply because the pain is somewhat realistic. At least until Seth starts popping his fingers like zits. Seth is rightfully horrified, of course, and realizes that Ronnie was correct. So he goes to do some investigation via his computer, and of course the computer is kind of evasive, as only a sci-fi computer can be. But hey, what's that? Yes, in only a way that science fiction and horror can, the reveal of the so-called secondary element is done in such a dramatic way. So it's a housefly.
Awesome!
But the news only gets worse. Yeah, if you couldn't tell by Brundle's horrified expression and the unnerving fade to black, or if you're not fully following, allow me to explain what's happened because it's a wee bit different here than before. Unlike the original film and story, where the scientist Andre switched body parts with a housefly, his head and his arm, Seth instead has a transformation that affects him throughout the course of the movie that is obviously a result of his own horrific mistake. Instead of absorbing the fly into his body, Seth and the fly have been hybridized, and he's going to become an amalgamation of man and insect, where the insect side is going to slowly change him physically and mentally. So he's going to become a man-fly with attributes of both in a sick, twisted way. And for those of you that have never seen this film before, it's as sickening as you'd expect. Again, it's Cronenberg.
Boy, Morty, I really Cronenberg the world up, didn't I? We got a whole planet of Cronenbergs walking around down there, Morty.
Funny enough, in the original script written by Charles Edward Pogue, the scientist whose name is Jeff Powell and married to Barb, making it much closer in setup to the original story,
My name is Jeff.
slowly has fly cells take over his human form that literally transform him into a giant fly. Check out the original script online sometime if you're curious for sheets and giggles. I'll try and include a link below so that you can find it. But Cronenberg obviously opted for a more deformed, disgusting version of this creature. The younger version of me would have preferred the giant fly, but adult me, I think he went the right way. Time jump to 4 weeks later. Ronnie has continued her life without Seth. That is, until he calls her. No, Ronnie, don't go back. I've seen this movie. Don't go back.
Stop, don't come back.
Oh, great. Ooh, Seth's gonna be fly-like, right? Right?
Seth? I'm here.
You shut up! I'm so scared right now, you shut up!
Stop.
Well, no, not yet. It's a slow transformation. See what I meant when I said young Greg was disappointed by the delayed payoff? He has to use canes to walk and he's looking pretty rough. Losing hair, his skin looks discolored and almost rotting, and his clothes are covered in some, milk! Wait, that's not milk. So this scene, I think, is a perfect example of why this movie has come to be a horror representation of the AIDS epidemic. Cronenberg himself says this wasn't the intention and instead was more of a representation of disease itself, growing old and dying, and when you look at the film like this, it gives it a more tragic and scary viewpoint because, well, it'll happen to us all. No, idiot, you won't become a giant fly mutant, but we are all subject to change in ways that make us unrecognizable as we deteriorate and grow older, and we see that in ourselves as well as those closest to us. Yeah. Horror at least takes heavy subjects like these and makes them a bit more digestible. A little too poignant, I know. You came here for humor. Moving on. Ronnie is shocked at his degradation and Seth explains what happened, so basically what I've told you already. He believes this is some form of a disease and vehemently declines to be tested by doctors. And here, well, we come to a fly fact I've been skirting for a while now, so let's get to it. Oh, we're doing this finally? Are you sure about that?
You sure about that?
Yes. Okay. Here we go. Finally. Fly fact number 5. We're going with 5. Okay. Flies do not eat traditionally like you or me, not having teeth or anything of that caliber. Instead, they secrete a digestive enzyme on food to dissolve it and then suck it up using their proboscis. So they puke, break it down, and suck it up. And here's a demonstration! Aside from the ones I've shown you previously for comedic purposes.
That's disgusting.
Well, no. Well, when you know the movie vomit is made of eggs, honey, and milk. Milk! Wait, he's puking and he's not on a tricycle at all? He lied to us before. His motion sickness is ridiculous.
What the hell is wrong with you?
Now, is fly vomit like acid as the movie depicts? Not exactly, but for the sake of horror and some really cool special effects later, just go with it. So he pukes on his food to eat now, and that's not all. Apparently, Seth also suffers from immediate hearing loss.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Help me. Please. Please help me.
What's that? Another callback to the original film?
I like it a lot.
We see Stathis again, who, after Ronnie shares her concerns after meeting Seth, tells her not to return due to potential contagion.
If you saw how scared and angry and desperate he is.
I'm sure Typhoid Mary was a very nice person too when you saw her socially.
Oh, that was way harsh, Ty.
Ronnie's completely freaked out, so Stathis, doubting her somewhat because women do be crazy with their emotional stability.
He's out of line, but he's right.
He says that maybe she should record footage of him for him to see so that he can think of something. Like what, Stathis? Like what, bro? Returning to the lab, Ronnie sees that her former lover has gone even further with the Spider-Man thing, where he can legitimately walk on the ceiling and walls.
Spider-Man does whatever.
Again, a cool effect, and one that Cronenberg tested himself in the Fly outfit if the budget only allowed for $3.50, utilizing a similar rotating room effect that was used in Wes Craven's A Nightmare on Elm Street for 2 of its most famous scenes. Seth, whose appearance is even more degraded, with pointed teeth and a more monstrous appearance, has now begun using gallows humor, complete with a gallows tumor.
Oh, look at this. What's this? I don't know.
It is not a tumor! No, really, it's not a tumor. I'll explain later. And worse, he's apparently accepted what's happening to him.
I know what the disease wants.
What does the disease want?
It wants to turn me into something else. I'm becoming Brundlefly.
So yeah, Andre in the original wanted to destroy himself, but not old Seth. Instead, he seems to accept, almost psychotically enjoy becoming Brundlefly. Yep, found a name uglier than Stathis Borans. Can I just say that Goldblum's insect twitches are excellent? Hedison did a form of these himself in the original, but Goldblum's are certainly more pronounced and creepy. I love it. And Seth also decides that he wants to return to the original plan of Ronnie recording his experiments, but with the twist of documenting his transformation, beginning with a segment that comes off as a Pee-wee's Playhouse from hell. Rest in peace, Paul.
How does Brundlefly eat? Well, he found out the hard and painful way that he's very much the way a fly eats. Solid food hurts. So, like a fly, Brundlefly breaks down solids with a corrosive enzyme.
Oh my God.
Yes, Stathis. That's a proper reaction. Here's another one.
Oh God! Oh God!
But that's not the worst of it, since Ronnie has news of her own.
I'm pregnant.
Oh no.
Uh-oh. Stathis gets it. Remember the trigger warning from earlier in the video? Yeah, it's still in effect here. Why? No reason. Because she's unsure if the pregnancy is a result of pre-fly or post-fly Brundle, Ronnie is taken to the hospital and wheeled down the hallway scared. As you should be! Wait, apparently we've jumped months ahead or something? She's already giving birth? What? Oh look, there's David Cronenberg as the gynecologist. Interesting place to insert yourself into your movie, my guy. He's actually a decent actor. Check out Nightbreed to see what I mean, or Jason X. Yeah, his cameo in the latter is probably the best thing about it.
I have him prepped a cryostasis chamber.
I don't want him frozen, Rowan. I want him soft.
What do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean?
Wait. Oh.
Oh no, if the music and the facial reactions aren't any indication, we about to have a big nasty here. So I can't show you everything, but Ronnie gives birth to a giant maggot. Yep.
A big fly, baby.
It's one of the most twisted yet uniquely cool images I've seen on film like this. It's just too bad I can't show it to you. Okay, maybe just a peek.
Relax. Take it easy.
Phew, just a dream. Usually I hate these fake out nightmare sequences, especially in horror, but here I think it does a good job of conveying true terror for the character. That, and I also understand why female viewers get especially upset at this. I get it, trust me. Back at Seth's lab, the Inhuman scientist is working on what he's calling the Brundlefly project, which has allowed him to program his teleporters into fusion machines, so what they accidentally became during his fateful teleportation, in a mad effort to rid himself of the fly gene in his body. Now, there's an infamous deleted scene that actually depicts Seth experimenting with his program that is interesting, but I can understand why it was cut from the final product. See, Seth takes the surviving baboon and a kitty cat. Oh god, not another Dandelo! And he fuses them. Hence why it's called the monkey cat scene. It also sees Seth learning the source of that weird tumor on his side. It is not a tumor, it's a fly leg.
That's disturbing.
Basically, it shows that Seth's rationality is gone and he's more monster than man, so it's difficult for the audience to maintain sympathy, hence why the decision was made to cut it. I get it, but really, look it up and check it out if you're interested. Now, back in the actual movie, Seth's looking pretty terrible. This is basically the last of his quasi-human appearance. He's hunchbacked, his head's awfully misshapen, one eye is bigger than the other, many of his fingers are vestigial and useless, and he's toothless. And by the way, I haven't forgotten, nor am I ignoring the makeup here. I'm just going to save it for later on in the video, but just know it looks really, really great here. Well, throughout the entire film, really. Seth puts his teeth alongside his other lost parts in a medicine cabinet, dubbing it the Brundle Museum of Natural History. Look, I love gallows humor, but this is sick, bruh. Here we have the second of the aforementioned two very emotional scenes, and this one is probably the saddest to me for some reason. It's a combination of the performances, the dialogue, the music, the subject matter, and it helps to have a direct connection to Kafka's The Metamorphosis. You should check it out if you've never read it before. A man turns into a beetle!
Hi, how are you?
Beetle.
Anyway, Ronnie shows up to see Seth to tell him that she plans to terminate her pregnancy. Gina Davis's performance here is superb, showing the mixed emotion. Superb. There we go.
What the hell is that?
Gina Davis's performance here is superb, showing the mixed emotions of seeing her former lover in this state to being horrified at what's within her. I can't say enough about the power of it. And Goldblum, of course, delivers one of the great speeches, showing that Cronenberg is skilled with emotional dialogue as Brundle tells her that he's losing control to his insect impulses.
I'm saying I'm an insect who dreamt he was a man and loved it. But now the dream is over and the insect is awake. I'll hurt you if you stay.
Not giving Jeff Goldblum the Best Actor Oscar in this movie is one of the biggest mistakes I've ever seen, and I think you can understand why. I mean, don't get me wrong, Paul Newman deserved the Oscar for The Color of Money in 1986. But still, at least The Fly didn't walk away empty-handed at the 59th ceremony. And while you've had evidence as to why they received that particular award already, you'll get evidence amped up to 11 here in a few minutes. Back outside, Ronnie tells Stathis she couldn't tell Seth about the baby and demands to go to the clinic to get this thing done! But guess who overhears? At the clinic, the specialist is caught off guard by the aggressive demand. I mean, telling the truth wouldn't go over well, would it?
I don't want to birth no big maggot fly, baby.
Right. After they agree to the procedure, while she's alone, Seth Kool-Aid Mans through the glass window to kidnap Ronnie. Yeah! He emotionally begs her to keep the child, apparently not caring that it could be a freaking maggot! No, he believes it might be the only remaining part of his humanity. I get it, Seth, but look at it this way. At least you'll save on child support. Ronnie's afraid, though.
I can't.
Too bad.
I don't like that look in his eyes. Ronnie needs a hero, and who can save her? Stathis Borans to the rescue. Yeah, having witnessed the kidnapping, he returns to the lab with a sweet, sweet shotgun that he assembles. Man, I bet some NRA members would get on one knee and bow to this thing, offer to marry it, and have little gun babies. I might. And he looks at the telepods, realizing what we already know about Brundle's plan to save himself. Oh, and speaking of Brundle... Stathis tries to fight back, but he's attacked in a really, really cool practical effect. Too bad I can't show you! But here, you can see Stathis's reaction instead.
Well, give the man a hand!
Yeah, while what happens might not be scientifically accurate, it's an awesomely grotesque moment watching Stathis's hand and foot both get melted away by fly vomit. Now, this is the one scene in the movie where the puppet work is just a little bit off. Where you watch it and go without hesitation, that's a puppet. But it's not a complaint, but I can understand why it was cut. The special features of the DVD show where Seth, now almost fully fly, extends his proboscis from his own mouth like a tubular tongue and sucks up the remains. God, did I just say that out loud? It's a cool idea, but it couldn't be pulled off too well in 1986. Either way, don't have to wait long for more cool stuff for you gorehounds like me. Seth's about to finish off Stathis with a face puke, something that we would see in the sequel to this, but not here. But Ronnie pleads for him to stop.
Help me. Help me be human.
How?
See, Seth has a plan. It's born out of desperation, fear, and animal impulses, but it's still a plan. I think.
I go there. And you go there. And then We come together there. You, me, and the baby. A family of 3 joined together in one body.
Yeah, Seth's deranged mind has pushed him to think that splicing himself with Ronnie and the unborn child is the solution to merge into one, abomination.
Real good plan.
It's so disturbing yet so perfect in the realm of body horror, and for me, it's one of the elements that pushes this simple man turning into a monster story into far more horrifying territory.
And I like it.
That's good.
Seth starts the timer for 2 minutes, fully set on this whole ultimate family thing, but Ronnie ain't having that, and she tries to fight Seth off, and oh my god, there goes his jaw!
Ah! Stop! I could have dropped my croissant!
Like a fleshy Jenga tower, the removal of that part sets off the final portion of Seth's full transformation into Brundlefly. And I'm going to have to describe it to you so I'm not completely ripped apart by the YouTube nuns. And then censored for being ripped apart by the YouTube nuns. As only Cronenberg's unique mind can craft, Seth's slow transformation into a human-fly hybrid has resulted in his outer skin, his human remains, becoming like a fleshy cocoon. And it's like he molts. So like a big vomit-inducing beautiful butterfly. But the best part for me is when his head literally cracks open and his human eyes burst and leak out like rotten eggs, and we see the gruesome creature underneath.
That's gross. I love it.
Say hello to the space bug, kids.
He's so ugly. I love him.
No, it's not a euphemism. That's what Cronenberg and the makeup crew called the final full form of Brundlefly. Again, as a kid, I wasn't a big fan of the overall Brundlefly look, but as a teenager, I came to embrace this sickly, grotesque cocktail of human and insect. Eyelids over insect eyes, an insect claw on one arm, and a weird melted flesh hand-like protrusion on the other. The only thing missing is wings. Oh god. Could you imagine if this thing could literally fly?
Oh my god!
The newly revealed Brundlefly tosses Ronnie into one telepod, and we get to see him in his diseased glory as he maneuvers to the other. Oh crap, the timer's counting down! Who can save Ronnie? Yeah, the only other character in this. Stathis Borans to the rescue. Yay. But, oh man, Stathis has really been through it, hasn't he? He's down one hand and one foot, but thank God for that really epic shotgun, and he puts it to work.
Nice shot.
But Brundlefly is not down and out yet. The monster starts trying to break through the window of his own pod as Ronnie's pod goes offline.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him.
Oh. Uh-oh. The timer's about out. Brundlefly nearly breaks out completely, but the sequence starts before he's completely loose and he's teleported. Along with portions of his own teleporter. Oh, this won't be good. Not at all.
Congratulations, you played yourself.
Just wanted to take a little break here and apologize up front for the lighting and how dark the room itself seems to be. I have a light in place of my ring light, which my cat chewed the cord for. And there's a thunderstorm outside. You may have just heard the rumble of thunder and the like. So if that kind of deters from the video, I apologize outright. Weather here in North Carolina has been crazy lately. Stathis is able to get Ronnie out of her broken pod as the teleportation sequence finishes, and Brundlefly roars out of the receiver pod.
You!
Not yet. Yes. Not yet.
As gruesome as it is, this is pathetic, seeing Brundlefly as not just a diseased man-fly creature, but now a fly Terminator. Cybernetic monstrosity, living gross man-fly tissue over assorted wires and tubing. Tubing! Now, while you can't hear the music, you know, copyright, you might be thinking he's crawling toward Ronnie for one last attack, but no. The score here is all operatic and tragic, so we know what's coming. Ronnie holds up the shotgun and, again, props to Gina Davis acting in front of a puppet, but she's devastated. And it's made worse when the doomed Seth reaches up with his bug claw and grips the barrel, aiming it at himself. So, after all of that slow, painful, agonizing degradation, Seth decides he wants to take the Andre route. Of course. And Ronnie finally ends it. No, I can't show you much, but Cronenberg's movies are apparently great with head explosions, and this one is no different. And yeah, Stathis, that is the appropriate look to have, even though parts of this are indirectly your fault. But mostly Ronnie's, still. And we fade to black. Oh man, that ending score. Can't share much, but for an orchestral music fan, it is ballin'! And notice the first name in the credits. As I said before, I wanted to wait to talk about the special effects, so here we are. Chris Wallace, I'm accustomed to Wallace, so that's how I'll pronounce it. Chris Wallace, known before this predominantly for his work in 1984's Gremlins, among other films, earned a lot of deserved recognition and prestige for his work in this film, and if you watch it in its entirety, you can see why it's justified. Not only did he and his crew design the progressive degradation of Brundle in separate stages, but the final form of Brundlefly is a disgusting sight to behold and succeeds in making you think even briefly that it is a real creature. It's understandable how the makeup effects won an Academy Award. I can't praise them enough. This is one of the many reasons why most of the time, like 90% out of 100, practical effects will trump CGI.
Here endeth the lesson.
There were alternate endings, namely with Ronnie having Stathis's baby? What? Yeah. Complete with a stop-motion baby with butterfly wings that's almost as horrific as the CGI baby from the last Twilight movie.
No, don't like that.
But they're not worth mentioning, really. They're not canon anyway, and the movie ended perfectly despite being tragic. This film was a hit with audiences, and surprisingly, it was popular with critics too, showing something of a shift in critical reception of body horror films, and not just that, but remakes in general. Remember what happened with John Carpenter's The Thing?
You gotta be kidding.
In retrospect, I find it kind of surprising really that this film was as beloved as it was, and especially as one directed by David Cronenberg, who, at the time, wasn't really a critical darling of any kind. Much of his work until this time had been labeled exploitative like Rabid and The Brood, or surreal conspiracy-themed horror like Videodrome, but this one took the bloody body destruction of Scanners and melded it with the humanity of The Dead Zone.
Now don't give me any argument. The ice is gonna break!
You need to relax.
It's a perfect combination that is hard to fully replicate, and I don't think Cronenberg has reached that same level throughout his catalog of deeply unique works. See, as a gruesome body horror film, it's hard to grasp that this film is, at its core, a beautiful love story that focuses on the notions of change, growth, decay, and all of the aspects of life and all of its tragedy. I don't know if that's what Cronenberg set out to do, but it's what he crafted ultimately, and that's what makes it perhaps his most accessible and appreciated horror film. Just sprinkle in a fly monster with plenty of milky puke and a giant maggot, and you have this winner of a remake.
Perfection.
Seriously though, in theory, this was a film that probably shouldn't have worked. Not only was it a remake of a beloved sci-fi film, but it was one that was helmed by a Canadian director who was mainly known for exploitative films, and it was being led by Jeff Goldblum, who was not considered a leading man at the time. Many remakes often don't do well, though perhaps they should have understood that Goldblum had already been in a remake that is held in positive regard like the original. Yeah, check out 1978's Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Maybe he was a good luck charm. By the way, did you know that both Michael Keaton and John Lithgow were considerations for Brundle? The latter turned it down because he thought the part was a bit too gruesome. Goldblum ended up being the better choice, of course, but I would love to visit some alternate universes.
Oh my God! I'm gorgeous!
Anyway, against all odds, the film was successful. It took a unique tale, stripped it of everything except the basic core, and added new spins, new directions, and crafted something unique of its own. This is a film that qualifies as a reimagining as opposed to a remake to me, with how different it is, aside from some details. I will say that I'm glad that Cronenberg was allowed to do his own thing. The original script is cool, sure, but what Cronenberg ended up doing, it's so great that I really can't imagine it any other way. Young Greg was really wrong about this originally. So wrong. It was so successful that it got its own sequel, The Fly 2 in 1989, directed by Chris Walas. Yeah, that one. Nowhere near as good, but not a bad creature feature with some equally revolting special effects. Anyway, back to this one. Now, while I consider this version of The Fly to be a great film, I will say that it is more of an experience rather than just a casual watch. What I mean is that by the time I finish the movie, and if I'm paying attention to it, I feel strangely exhausted by the end. It's a really great film, but it's so sad and draining emotionally. No, that doesn't stop me from watching it, and I do watch it very often. Not as often as The Thing, but often enough. But for me, as a horror fan, it is more of an experience than simply popping something in.
Very poor choice of words.
Let me put it this way. It was said by Jeff Goldblum that he sent a note to the late Vincent Price, Francois from the original film, telling him that he hoped he loved this version as much as Jeff loved the original. Ever a class act, Price said the film was wonderful, up until a point, and that it did step too far. I think that's the best way to sum up this movie. Wonderful in an R-rated fashion, and then it veers down a path that most can't handle, and that's fine. While I have an obvious love for it, this is not a movie I can recommend to everyone. If you're not a fan of horror, or of tragic love stories, or if you just get grossed out really easily, then you might want to stay away. But if horror is your thing, or if you just want to expose yourself to more cinematic body horror and the like, then check this one out. Just bring a barf bag.
Don't end up like this, bruh.
And with that, we're at the end of part 2 of my retrospective on both of the first entries of the 2 sagas of The Fly, and I hope you've enjoyed them. Sorry it's taken so long.
I'm deeply sorry.
So check this one out in the original if you're interested and make your own opinions. Remember, this was all just my view. Will I ever examine the sequels? Maybe one day. But for now, I have my next retrospective to work on. I'm going to revisit an old game from my childhood that I hated originally, but I learned to love really quickly. I'll also continue doing my long play gaming videos, so keep an eye out for that and the like. And if you enjoy what I do here, you like this video and have liked anything else, then give it a like and consider subscribing. I'll see you all next time, and if you're going through a rough patch of any kind, just remember, it all comes out in the wash. Hopefully all this puke will.
He's such a weenie.
Later.